What's up, guys? It's Missy. I am back with another SimCity Buildit video, and today we're going to talk about how to make money. Now, we've talked about this on my channel a bunch of times. I've given you guys a production guide, which I have pulled up in front of me, that me and CPT spent a very long time making. Most of you guys have probably seen my How to Make Max Coins video or picked up a copy of the production guide, but maybe you're having trouble following it or understanding, how to juggle daily stuff in the game and this. So I want to kind of explain how that's going to work. When you're playing the Contest of Mayors competitively, unfortunately, that is going to cut into this, right? You're not going to be able to do both. There's no way. Not 100% efficiently is what I'm saying. Now, sure, you may be able to, let's say, run parts of this guide and make maximum money in certain shops, but realistically, you can't do both. You can't have your cake and eat it too, so to speak. You're going to be so busy prepping things that you wouldn't normally prep, making things for assignments that you wouldn't normally make. It's going to cut into your production plan, okay? So any chance that you do see during the contest to maybe make a little extra coin or time off from the contest, this is when you want to implement the production plan. If you're somebody who isn't playing the Contest of Mayors competitively, if you're a higher level player, this production plan is not for you, not this part of it. This production plan is 19 pages long, okay? We wrote it for two types of players. High-level players with maximum shops, and level 18 players between level 18 and level 24 who are camping to play calm and do things like that. This part of the guide that we're looking at right now is for players 18 to 24. Now, some of this stuff still applies to a high-level player. For instance, making donuts and flour all day is going to still apply to a high-level player. However, a high-level player is not going to produce flour at night like a low-level player does. A low-level player, a lot of low-level players, they believe that, well, I'm going to be sleeping and my shop should be running and therefore I'll make more money. No. Let me tell you a little secret, okay? You're a level 18 player. You have 11 shop slots available to you. You decide that you're going to fill it up with melon, okay, for 8 hours worth of your sleeping time. If you do the math on how many melons you can produce in an 8-hour sleep versus how many flour, you're going to have your shop not run for a couple hours of the night if you make flour. So people automatically hear that and they think, oh no, my shop's not going to be running very long. That means I'm making less money. Therefore, I should make the other thing because at least my shop will be doing something. Incorrect. Okay? You want to do the math on what you yield at the end of that 8-hour sleep. And at the end of that 8-hour sleep, when you wake up, you're either going to have X amount of melon or X amount of flour. It doesn't matter how many hours your shop ran. All that matters is what you have to show for. Okay? How much money did you make? For instance, okay, for lack of a better word, let's say that you run a business and you can produce hamburgers for X amount of dollars, or you can produce donuts for X amount of dollars, just hypothetically. And somebody says, well, you know what, I'm going to produce donuts because they take the longest, but they yield the least money. They sell for the most per value. Melons sell for more than flour. They sell for $730, right? Flour sells for $570, except for, first off, you're not selling your flour. You're actually producing it and making it into a donut. But regardless, that doesn't even matter. The point is, we're talking about just money to money here. Melons yield a higher amount. They'll take up the full time at the nighttime run, and your shop won't be idle. Sounds like a pretty good deal, right? No. It still does not mean it's the most profitable, okay? Because you're only able to make a certain amount of melon versus a certain amount of flour, right? So for you, how long does it take to produce one melon? How many flour can you produce in the time that it takes to produce one melon? That is what you're comparing it to. You're not comparing it to 1 versus 1 because they don't take the same amount of time. That's the point. Now you also need to look at product. What goes into producing a melon? The materials. Do you have shovels? Do you have saps? Do you have seeds? Those things need to be calculated into the algorithm or cost or whatever as well, okay? Whether it be algorithm because you're shopping for the stuff on the global market, then you're going to have to deduct the cost from the profit price, which again, because it's a melon, it's not being produced through the factory. Anybody ever sit down and do the math on smoothies versus donuts? Smoothies turn a higher profit than donuts all day long. Why in the hell did we tell you not to make them? I've talked about this like 6 different times on my channel, okay? If you sit down with a pen and paper and you add up every material that goes into one smoothie and then everything that goes into a donut or whatever, yeah, a donut, you're gonna see that smoothies turn a higher profit. So why are you producing donuts? Does anybody know? Because you can't make that many. But wait, smoothies take just as long as donuts. Or donuts take a little longer, actually. You can produce more smoothies as well, it's about the same for a high-level player as you can for a low-level player. But we're just talking for just straight across the board. Just doing it it really doesn't matter what level player you are, okay? Add up the costs, add up what you have to make. For a smoothie, you have to make 1 metal, 1 wood, 1 plastic, you got to make 2 seeds for the saps, right? Okay, so then you make the saps with the shovel and the seed. Then you take the sap and some more seeds and turn that into a melon. And then you take more seeds and turn that into a veggie. You got to add up all those materials, okay? Then take the veggie and the melon and take that time, the conversion time for the smoothie. Take all that time it took, the time it takes to make the smoothie, the veggies, the seeds, the shovels, the wood, the plastic, every single thing that goes into a smoothie, okay? Then take your time here and say, all right, this is how much money I produce making smoothies. This is the total amount that I make per hour producing smoothies. Then do it for donuts. Notice how smoothies is higher. But here's the question. How many melon can you produce in a day? You can't produce enough melon to make enough smoothies to run your donut shop full time. So where are you going to get the melon? You going to buy it? Because you don't see them very often on global. And then the next thing you need to calculate into the factor here is that smoothies have more steps versus donuts. Donuts are the main material that goes into making a donut is textiles and seeds, okay? Which can be made all at once versus, let's say, okay, you needed the metal, the wood, the plastic. Sure, that can be made in the factory. But what about the stuff that you're unable to make now in the other shops by making the smoothie? Now you had to make shovels, which cut into chair production, which cut into your hammer production. Now you have to make saplings, which cuts into production of other items in the garden shop. So you lose profits in other places because you chose to make a smoothie. So now you go to your barn, okay? And you have to take your full day and you say, all right, if I go to my donut shop and I divide however many minutes are in a day, okay? And I say, okay, I'm awake for 16 hours a day, divided by how long it takes to make a smoothie. How many smoothies can I make in one day? Take that number, go to your barn, put that number aside, and divide in the same amount of time that you're going to spend making smoothies. and say, okay, for my 16-hour day, how many melons can I make? Because you're going to need that many melons to make that many smoothies in the donut shop. It's going to be substantially lower. So you're like, okay, well, that's not going to work because now I can only make X amount of melon in a 16-hour day, which is substantially less. Then you got to go over to your hardware store and you got to say, okay, now what are we going to do over here? How are we going to juggle this over here? What about the factories? What about this? What about that? What about nighttime? And then you start to see, wait a minute here, something ain't right. So now it's not I'm producing, 40 smoothies a day or whatever. It's I'm producing more like 15 melon a day. I'm just throwing numbers out here. And there you go. So now you're like, oh, wait a minute here. I fucked up. Because that's not the only thing you need. You need veggies too, right? So now you have to make, for every one melon, you have to make one veggie. So you got to calculate that in with the barn as well to get the materials. In our production plan, what we wrote was from a realistic gameplay, okay? And what that means is I could have told you that smoothies turn the highest profit and to figure out a way to make them. That's what I could have told you because technically it's true. If you could go to the global market right now and purchase melon, realistically, it would be the better process. Now, technically, not really even then, because then you would, because you would still be able to make flour in your barn, okay? But the point I'm getting at here is from a realistic gameplay, you have to look at what is available to you to be purchased easily. You can't, I had a guy argue with me one time about the fact that we juggled every store. When we made this production guide, we juggled all the shops, okay? And we sat down, we went, okay, this versus this. We took each shop, we did the math, and we went, okay, most profitable item in this shop, this shop, this shop. Then we went, okay, now which ones of these can we make while still running all these shops full time? And then it was like, oh shit, we can't do that because of this. Then we can't do that because of this. And then this because of that. And it just was this juggling nightmare, okay? It was a nightmare making this guide. I'm not going to lie. It was a flipping nightmare. And I had a guy talking to me about making, saps and things like that. And I'm like, well, technically, grass yields more profit than saps, okay? It takes a fraction of the time. It takes one less seed. And it sells for 310 coins versus 420 coins, right? So the amount of time that you would take to make one sapling versus one grass, and then you cut out one material cost. Yeah, of course grass is better than saps. No shit, all day long, right? But what's the problem here is being able to make enough shovels to produce enough grass to run it full time. That you cannot do while still being able to produce enough hammers for chairs, tapes for blue text, tapes for caps, all that stuff, okay? So you have to pick. You have to say, you know what? I can run these 3 shops full time and make this much profit, or I can cut this from these 3 shops to make this profit over here. So even though, yes, this is a good item to make and it would be profitable, we chose to pick that one out of the bunch to sacrifice to make something bigger and better happen elsewhere. That's why we did that. And even with not running the garden shop full time as a level 18 player, you're still yielding more money doing the way we have it, with the caps, the chairs, and the blue text, than you would be running grass in the garden shop. That's my point. And he didn't get that. He truly believed that because there was a shop not running somewhere that we were inefficient. It's like, look, man, if you have to sacrifice one to have 10 times the money over here, you don't focus on the one, you focus on the bigger picture. You focus on, at the end of the day, what did you yield? How many coins did you benefit? That's all that matters. right? Now, if we could have realistically calculated that into this, we would have. Now, everything in this guide is what you can produce on your own, okay? That is where this gets a little interesting. Every single person that I have handed this guide to has had difficulties because they say, I just don't have enough tape. I just don't have enough this. I can't get enough that. Then you're doing something wrong, because the way that we have this calculated, you are able to produce every single thing, and it's all been calculated down to the last minute, okay? We didn't leave not 1 minute out of place. Now, there are some parts of this guide where we said, we're going to leave you some extra factory time. We're going to say, okay, we're going to leave, X amount of hours of factory time during this time that you can juggle through. And that was left there for a reason. Don't think it wasn't. That was left there for people because realistically, when you open up your game, when you're shuffling through, when you're living life, how many times do you come back and all your stuff's done? Right? You don't know how long it's been sitting there. Maybe it's been sitting there a couple hours, whatever. The point is, between filling up your shops, maybe you need to make some metal for something you're doing, some wood, whatever. We left that factory time available so that you guys could make extra stuff. So there's like 10 hours extra factory time throughout your entire day with one of these guides. I can't remember if it's level 18 or level 63 guide, but one of them, there's definitely about 10 hours. Then you have some expendable room in some shops, and we go through and we explain that in the guide. We made it very easy. So when people say, well, I just don't have enough tape to make caps all day, then you're doing something wrong because we calculated it in. If you ran the shops exactly as we have written, you would have enough caps to make, or enough tape to make caps, because that's what we're doing. We calculated that in for you. So you're not doing it right. Something that you're not juggling it right. Maybe you're not taking it as seriously as we have it written. Okay, which is fine, but that's why. When we sat down and we wrote this, I am not kidding you guys. We really, really got this shit down. Like, we sat there and we went, all right, you're going to have a 16-hour day to an 8-hour sleep. Okay? We took it down to the last minute. We even went as far to say, okay, we have an extra 16 minutes remaining in the barn on this, so what do we do with this extra 16 minutes? We can't produce another flower, so what do? We filled it in with something else that was profitable. We even went as far to make a token guide for you guys. To say, you're going to run X amount of tokens, but then what? How are you going to have materials to run your flower all day long after the tokens? So you ran X amount of tokens, so you needed X amount of materials. But now you're sitting there with an open barn, no materials. So we went, all right, let's pump the brakes. Let's go back. Let's calculate in all the material cost for them to not only run tokens, but to go right back to their normal routine of things once those tokens are done. That's what we did with the token guide. Okay? The charts in these plans are excellent tools that should be utilized. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain exactly how to do what we have written, how to make it work in your game. Because so many people experience this issue where they, even though it's written what to do, they still have trouble for whatever reason, making it happen. Okay? And I think that's partly because they're either half-assed trying to do it, and it just doesn't work that way, or because maybe they're dilly-dallying around over here, and then over there, and then they're like, oh shit, oh yeah, I forgot to open my game for 4 hours. I guess I'll make a tape now for that cap I was supposed to do. No. You can't make money like that, okay? When it comes to this game, it's very casual. It's very, very, very easy to kind of drift off and just kind of do whatever, whenever, right? And it becomes an issue where instead of you seeing like the real importance of being successful, that you just kind of do the wrong thing all the time, right? And so, you know, what it comes down to is you got to have a goal. You got to have a mission, and you got to stay focused on said goal and said mission. You can't just say, yeah, I'd like to make money today. Maybe I'll fill my shops with something. Come on. You're killing me here. Okay? Anybody pick up this this guide. Go to my Facebook. Click on our SimCity Buildit MissyanneTTVYT group. Okay, there's a lot of groups for SimCity Buildit on Facebook. Ours is the one that says MissyanneTTVYT at the end of it. Join in the group. If you click on the actual group itself, there is a section there that you'll see like a little tab that says members, photos, files, things like that. You're going to click that, and you're going to click announcements. Under the announcements section, scroll down. You're going to see some posts that say production plan, you know, leveling guide, blah, blah. That is where you can pick up the links to that. Or if you don't have Facebook, you can click on pretty much any one of my playlists on YouTube and find my 14-minute Gold Epic video. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to the description of that video. There's 3 links in that video. One of those links is the production plan. This is 19 pages, okay? The first part of the plan is the plan for the highest maximum level, okay? The second part of the plan, which when you scroll like this, if you hold down on this part, you can see it says build times, factory, and then it says level 18 production guide. This is probably where you're going to be at if you're between levels 18 and 24. Now, if you're somewhere in between, like maximum level, like a lot of you guys, here's part of the problem that you're going to experience. So we weren't going to sit down and write a plan for every single person, for every single star shop that they have unlocked. Because you have to remember, when we calculated time, we had to calculate it in the fact that you have a certain star shop available unlocked to you, correct? So you produce flour at a different time rate than somebody who has, let's say, a 3-star shop. What we had to calculate it in for was 3-star shops and whatever shop that you had available as a level 18 to 24 player. So in between that, between level 61, because when you hit level 61, you have unlocked everything. You have all of your shops are able to be at 3 stars, okay? All of your, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, if you click on your shops in your map, it shows you a star at the very top. It's a time discount, okay? You pay coins to discount the time it takes to produce items. As you level up, you unlock those time discounts on the shops. You don't unlock every single time discount for every single shop until level 61. Once you've hit level 61, the guide, the very first part of this guide is going to 100% apply to you. Until then, the numbers are going to fluctuate a little bit, and that is why we implemented the charts here for you guys. So what this is right here, if you look at the charts on our guide, it says cream max. What does that mean? 440. That is the price of what you can sell 1 cream for. This is the total minutes it takes to make 1 cream. This is for a level 61 or higher player. This means you have a 3-star shop, or whatever level you unlock the barn at 3 stars. Okay. Then it says PMV buy, PMV prod. Okay, PMV buy is per minute value if you purchase the materials. So if you go out and you buy all the materials to make a cream, and then you take the time it takes to produce the cream, and you divide that into the price that you sold it for, that is how much you made per minute after deducting the cost of the materials. Then you have the per minute value if you produced everything that went into the cream. Okay? Then you have the materials cost, which is the mats, and then you have profit. So if you sell one cream for $440 and you buy one feed to make that cream, that's $140. So you profited $300 for 60 minutes of your time. Okay? Now, if you come down here, you see these numbers here. It says production/hour minus base. Okay. Now, what does this mean? What do these numbers mean? These are your shop time discount numbers. Okay? Now, I have the wrong production guide pulled up here because I went through and I actually put down, I went through and I changed it up and showed you guys which ones had stars, what the stars were to make it a little easier. Here we go. Okay, this is the latest version. Okay, so right here, it says amount of items per hour. That's what this is. And this is the building times per shop level. Okay, so if you look at, hang on. Which one did I have open here? I have one where I went through and I actually put like 3-star, 2-star. I might have to go to the Facebook and get it because I have it all. I want to make sure you guys have the right version here. It just makes it easier for you guys to understand. Okay, so let's go to the Facebook here. And this is actually a good thing because you guys can figure out how to get a hold of the guide here. So, SimCity Buildit, MissyanneTTVYT. This is the group here, okay? It's going to look like this. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the group and you're going to see this screen here, okay? It says rooms, announcements, photos, yada, yada. You're going to click announcements. You're going to scroll down. These are all the announcements that have been put out on the page. So you're going to keep scrolling. This right here says the Missy's Building Guide Final. This was for Missy's Building Guide 1, okay? Now you're going to keep scrolling and you're going to see, that's my video, production guide, final. Okay, this here is going to bring you to a Google Doc where you can print it or do whatever you want to do. Now, let's use the app for this. Okay, so right here is the latest version that you guys will have available to you. Now, as you guys saw on the last screen, so here's where we're at. So this version, see how the last version didn't have the name on the left-hand side for the production base? It had it up here, but not down here. So right here is the amount of items per hour for your shop level. So what this means is this here, the base, is just a blank shop with no stars at all, no time discounts at all. Then you've got a 1-star shop, which is a -10, a 2-star shop, which is a -15, and a 3-star shop, which is a -20. Now, if you look here, it says example. Go to the cream column. If you have a 3-star shop, equals -20 time discount. Okay? So, I also put right here, shop time discount. 1 star is 10%, 2 stars 15, 3 stars 20. Okay? So right there is another example so you don't forget. So you find whatever star shop you have. So if you have a level 2 shop in your barn, you're going to go to the -10, right? Or the -15. So you have base, star 1, star 2, star 3. So right here, it says you make 0.94 of a cream every 1 hour, right? No. Okay, so on a 3-star shop, your building time is 60 minutes. So right here, This is the build times. So 60 minutes is how much cream you make in 1 hour. Okay? So right here, as a 3-star shop, you make 1 whole cream in 60 minutes. In a 2-star shop, you make 0.94 of 1 cream. Okay? That's what that means. So this here would say that you make 2.5 flour on a 3-star shop every 60 minutes, right? So that means on a 3-star shop, you're producing flour every 24 minutes. That's what this number means. If you go all the way to the end here, where it says minus 20, and you go down to flour, you're producing it every 24 minutes. That's how you read this guide. Okay, so this is how many of whatever it is you're producing and how long it takes to produce it per shop. Okay, so the build time and the amount. So let's say that you had, how do you implement this chart for the contest or for whatever it is you want to do? Let's say that you have an hour to finish an assignment and you have to make a certain amount of something. You come here and you go, okay, I have this star shop. This is what I'm making, and this is how long it takes to produce it. There you go. That's how many I can make. It's very simple. Now, let's say that you have, let's say that you wanted to run a token. Okay, that's what this here is for. This guide here is a token guide. So it's the same thing as above, except for each star has 3 columns. Okay, so this is base, base, base. Base times 2, base times 4, base times 12. That's just your token time. That's all that is. So if you look at the very first column, so the very first 3, let's just pretend the very first 3 columns are the only ones that exist here. Okay? So what you're doing is you're saying, okay, if I run a times 2 token, so you look at the cream column and look at the very first row, and it says base times 2. That means that if you have a base level shop and you're running a times 2 token, that for 1 hour of the token, okay, because a token runs for 60 whole minutes, you're going to produce 1.60 cream in 1 hour on a times 2 token with that level shop. So if you have a 3-star shop, you're going to go all the way to the end of the production chart here where it says 20. And you're going to say, okay, if I produce cream, which is the very top column, at a times 12 rate with a 3-star shop, which is the very end, you're going to produce exactly 12 cream, right? Okay, so right here, it's telling you exactly how many you make on whatever token it is you're using for whatever shop you have. That's all you have to do, right? So you have a 2-star shop and you want to produce flour, okay? So you go to the flour column and you go over and you say, okay, the level 2 is the minus 15. So you find the minus 15 on the chart and whatever token you want to use, right? So flour is the second one down. So we're going to scroll over here on the second one down and we can make 9.41 flour on a silver token. We can make 28.24 flour on a gold token, right? On a 3-star shop, we can make exactly 30 flour on a times 12 token. So right there, we can say, okay, for that, we need how many textiles? If we're going to make 30 flour and it takes 2 textiles, that's 60 textiles to make 30 flour. So we need 60 text and 60 seeds per 1 gold token. We can fill it up, come back after the 11 are done, fill it up again, and then fill it up a 3rd time. This right here, this is an excellent tool for you guys. Not only to make money, but to run the contest, to not run out on your tokens, you know, if you just utilize the chart here. Now, how do you run the plan to be efficient? How do you juggle everything that you want to do and make money? Now, that's the tricky part, okay? So what you're going to do is, between these charts here, we went through and we told you guys exactly what to do and where to start and how to go about it, okay? This is for the high-level players. I'm going to go down to the level 18 part of the guide here, which is right here, okay? And it says factories is 35 slots for a level 18 player. Now, you're going to be up to 40 slots for a level 24 player, so even better. And it says, we're going to start with collecting your nighttime run of 35 sugar that's used to make donuts. Okay? So you wake up, you open up your game. The very first thing you're collecting is 35 sugar. All right? Now, right there, it tells you at nighttime you're going to be producing 35 sugar. Okay? Again, level 18 players. So it says morning. Okay? Then it says daytime. Produce 35 brown text in 3 hours. So you collected your sugar, and you have, notice how morning was blank? Morning means do whatever you got to do to get your shops, going. Get your metal, get your wood, get your plastic, whatever it is that you think you're going to need for the stuff that you're going to have to do in the rest of this guide. So then you say, okay, daytime, produce 35 brown text. So once you've made enough metal, wood, plastic, seeds, whatever that you got to do to set up your flour and things like that, then you're going to throw down 35 brown textiles. Once those are making, okay, you can go and fill up all your other shops. Now, this is just the factory part of the production plan. That's what we're going through right now. Then you're going to say, okay, after the textiles are done, you're going to need 35 seeds, okay, to make an equal amounts of flour. Now, in order for you to get your daytime run going, you have to have these materials when you wake up, okay? So this is, realistically, you can't wait 3 hours for text and then 20 minutes for seeds to start your barn. So you have to have those materials when you get up, right? Now, before the second round of text, you're going to make any metal, any wood, any plastic that you need to refill your shops. Then you start the second round of text. Then the second round of seeds, okay? Then you make a third round of text. And you have 19 space available to make wood, metal, plastic as needed throughout the day. Then you make your seeds and so forth and so forth. Now, okay, total factory time used so far is a nighttime sugar run for 4 hours, 9 hours of brown text, 1 hour of seeds, and 2 hours of any metal, wood, and plastic. That equals 16 hours used in total in your factories, leaving 8 extra hours of factory time to make whatever you want. Okay? Now, here's the production plan. The barn, 16-hour day, is 960 minutes to an 8-hour sleep, which is 480 minutes. So if you want to run your stuff for 960 minutes, right? That's 16-hour day. You sleep for 8 hours, okay? So unless you're on the game in the middle of the night collecting things, it's an 8-hour sleep. It doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be producing for 8 hours. It just means you are off the game for that many minutes total, and this is what you're producing. Okay? All right, give me just a second here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through, refresh my memory on exactly what we need to do here. And then I'm going to attempt on my game, do it to the best that I can with the space that I have available to show you guys kind of how to get this started. Now, here's part of my issue right now is that I'm prepping for an epic project, a timed epic. I'm going to try to beat my 14-minute gold epic time. So it's going to be a little tricky to kind of show you guys how to do this, but I wanted to get this video uploaded because I have a lot of people in my group that are kind of struggling right now with trying to figure out how to kind of do this and play the contest of mayors, and I wanted to get this video out today because it's the day pretty much off from the contest today and tomorrow, so they can utilize this, watch this video, and hopefully make some coin here in the next day or two. So okay, let's go through here, and now we're down here, we're at the barn as we discussed. So a 16-hour day to an 8-hour sleep. Now here's the thing. Okay, your daytime, everybody's schedule is different. how many times you check up on your game is going to depend on how, what kind of player you are. Are you somebody who opens up your game and goes to work and doesn't touch it till you get home? Are you somebody who checks it on only breaks? Are you somebody who's, sitting in the office and you're kind of on it all day? It really depends. Are you somebody who's not even working and you're at home and you're just a SimCity junkie like the rest of us and you're on the game all the time, right? It really doesn't matter, because you're going to have to find whatever pace it is that's best suits you to make this happen. So I can't open my game and say, you're going to do this at this exact time and this is how it's going to work for you. And we're going to talk about why that is when I open the game. But for now, let's talk about what it is you're going to be producing in your shops and the best way that you can get that done. So for the daytime run, you're running 32 flour. Okay, so if you have 11 shop slots available to you, that is 16 hours for 960 minutes worth of flour, right? So 32 flour is going to consume your 960 minute day. Then you run 11 flour at night, which equals 5.5 hours. Okay, so 330 minutes out of an 8-hour sleep. But here's the thing. So in a 24-hour period, you're producing 43 flour. Okay? Now, here's the deal. You would be able to produce more if you were awake during the middle of the night and could refill your shop. Because if you look here, an 8-hour sleep versus 5.5 hours worth of flour. So if you were to wake up in the middle of the night, let's say, and after the 5.5 hours worth of flour has been produced, and fill your shop up an additional time, you would bank a little bit more money, okay? But we did not write it for people who wake up in the middle of the night. That's not realistic. Now, if you're somebody that does that, excellent. You just made a little bit more coin than somebody who didn't, okay? I play throughout the night. What I do is I get up very early in the morning, about 4 a.m. I stream, I do my videos, I go home around noon, and I kind of take my sleeping meds, watch a little bit of TV, take a nap for a little while, play the game throughout my nap, and then usually around 10 p.m. I try to wake up, and that's usually when CPT is back on the game, and I try to, get some designing done throughout the night and then fall asleep until I get up the next morning. So I'm kind of playing the game off and on throughout the entire day and night, just here and there. I usually have it in my hand when I sleep, and I just kind of, oh, I'm awake. Oh, cool. Oh, I'm asleep. Oh, cool. I don't really have a time. I don't remember the last time I really, took my phone and shut it off and just went to bed for like 8 hours. Like, I haven't done that in a long time. So I might be a little bit different than most people. Now, here's the thing. You're using the flour to produce donuts. You're not selling the flour. But if you were to sell the flour, the money that you would yield would be right there on your screen. $18,240 is what you would sell 32 flour for. Okay? But you're not doing that. You're producing them into donuts. So you're going to run your flour. I mean, it's a pretty basic thing, right? You open up your game. You take the textiles and seats that you have left over from the day before, and you fill your shop up with 11 flour. Every time you get a flour that pops out, you put one back in its place. Okay, it's really quite simple. You're literally running flour day and night. That's how many you're going to be able to yield if you run it on the plan that we have. Okay? Then you go to your donut shop, and it's really very, very simple there as well. You're just running donuts day and night, okay? Now, as a higher level player, it's not quite that simple. You're going to be producing melon at night. And the reason for that is because after we ran some numbers, we said, okay, you actually yield more money making melon to turn into pink drinks than you do making flour and having idle time to make donuts. So you can't make pink drinks at your level. level 18, so you actually yield more money making the flour. Now, the reason we didn't tell you to make melon and then into smoothies is because that would cut into your donut production, which again would end up costing you money in a sense. So the best option for you guys is to produce flour into donuts. So day and night. So that's pretty simple as well. So now for a 24-hour time frame, you've made a total of 32 donuts, but you're producing that an additional flour at night. So you have 11 flour extra that you're able to do whatever with. If you need to use it for something, if you maybe you fell off on your time and you need to get your donut production back on track. If you are a high-level player, you would use it, you know, for pizza if you had any extra, if you could purchase the materials, things like that. So you're going to end up with a little bit extra flour that you can either sell to group members, which I strongly recommend. I don't recommend selling anything like this to global. It's just, you know, every time you sell to the global market, essentially, when it's something that is a good item, essentially, you're not only costing yourself money in a roundabout way, but you could be saving a team member money by selling it to them versus them having to produce it. Because every minute that they spend producing something other than what's most profitable, they're losing profits, in a sense, right? So if you can sell a team member paint, it's saving them money by buying it instead of producing it. But it's also costing you money to sell it to them, because now you have to produce it to get it back, right? So it's kind of a catch-22. But either way, global is not the way to go. That doesn't help anybody that you know, and it doesn't help yourself. And global people, I'm gonna tell you right now, they're fucking savages, man. You so much as advertise anything. If you have anything at all that's worth a damn in your depot, you can kiss it goodbye in about 10 seconds, okay? They're gonna swoop in like vultures, and they're just gonna wipe that sucker out clean. And you're gonna be like, whoops, sorry, I had a sugar on global, and I don't know what happened. In the blink of an eye, everything was gone. Yeah, that happens. Don't think for a second that anything is safe the moment you post anything on global, okay? So here's what people do. And this is just a quick rant. They're like, hey, I've had this sugar advertised in my depot all day and it hasn't sold. So nobody must be in my depot. Nobody must be accessing it. No, there's people in your depot 24/7. They're clicking on it. They don't want your stupid sugar. So you just don't think anybody wants anything and you think it's safe to post. So a team member says, hey, you know, I need a ladder. And you're like, well, nobody's been buying anything in my depot anyway, so I'll just post the ladder. It should be fine for 10 seconds. And by the time you hit global and they hit visit, the 10 seconds it takes to load your city, somebody's already been there and gone. And you're like, oh, whoopsie, I didn't know I had global. Yeah, bullshit, you didn't. You knew damn well you had global. You just thought it was safe. And you didn't want to look like a dumbass. So you're like, oh, whoops, sorry. Yeah, that's why I tell people, if you have anything advertised at all, make sure that you do not post it until the person is at your depot. Now, let's say you were posting something like glass. It's pretty good chance that the glass will be there by the time the person gets there. But anything that and even if you know, have extras of that something, maybe you have 20 ladders and the person only wanted one. So you're like, oh, sorry. And you post another one. That just costs you money again, you know? So it's better just to wait the 10 seconds, right? Now, that's my rant for today on that. As far as everything else goes, you're producing flour and donuts full time, okay? After you produce 24 hours worth of donuts, you're going to have made 32 donuts, which you sell for 950 coins, okay? So that right there is, why did we jump too far here? Okay. Donut shop. 32 donuts. Okay. That's, I believe, 30,400 coins, if I remember correctly. Now, building supply shop. This shop is a little tricky. This one has options, big options, okay? So technically, the most profitable item in this shop, as many of you guys know, is nails, okay? It's pretty obvious. They sell really quickly. They are used in the game quite a bit. They are excellent money makers. I cannot even explain how much money you can make making nails, okay? Now, part of the issue here is that you have to be on the game to refill your shop. So if you're producing a nail if you produce 11 nails every 49.5 minutes, you're producing 213 nails for your 960-minute day. That's saying if you're on your game every 49 minutes, you can produce nails all day long, okay? Now, if you're not on the game every 49 minutes, then what you can do, depending on your schedule, is pick a different option here. We gave you guys options because we know that realistically you sitting on the game every 49 minutes to refill your shop with nails is not realistic, okay? If you are on the game though, then do it. Now, let's say you're on the game every hour and a half. You could fill it partially with nails and partially with this other something we're going to be talking about. So option 2, if you're unable to check or refill your building shop every 49 minutes, then you go for option 2, which is to buy minerals to produce either 11 bricks in 3 hours and 18 minutes, or you can do cement, okay? Now, here's the thing. Cement yields a really good profit if it can be turned into like gnomes, if you have glue and things like that. You guys don't have gnomes yet, okay? So you have some options here. You can produce cement if you can find the chemicals to do it. You can produce bricks if you'd like. There's a lot of options for this particular shop. I recommend trying to do as many nails as you can. And honestly, for this shop, hang on. Okay, so the reason you want to produce as many nails as you can is not only because you're going to be using them, but because you need them for hammers and stuff like that to make chairs and, you know, whatever else it is you're producing. So in your hardware store, you're going to produce 59 hammers for your daytime run. That's going to equal 12 hours, okay? 4 hours remaining in the day, you make 8 shovels plus 1 hammer. That's 228 minutes out of 240 minutes. Nighttime, you make 11 shovels, which is 297 minutes. The hammers are used to make chairs, and the shovels are used to make grass. If you can buy planks, use them to make tables during the night in the hardware shop, okay? If you can purchase planks. Now, the garden shop is open. At this point, daytime at this level is going to be difficult to keep the garden shop running full time. If you have grass and saps unlocked at this level, grass is more profitable than saps, right? Anytime you can buy additional shovels to make grass, you should. You have a guaranteed 19 shovels to make 19 grass. That's 9.5 hours. That's 570 minutes. That yields $5,890. That is what you're guaranteed out of what we were able to produce here. Now, let's see. Why? Hang on a minute here. Trying to figure out if that's a typo. How are you guaranteed 19 shovels? I'll have to look into what CPT and me have that written for, because it looks like you're making 11 here. Oh, there it is, the 8 shovels. Okay, there we go. I knew there was something weird there. Nope, we're good. Okay, so nighttime is open for the garden shop, and you can buy materials. If you can buy materials and fill it up, absolutely do it, okay? So if nighttime is open and you're able to purchase shovels, you can produce grass for the higher profit as far as, here's the cops. Hold on just a second. They're not open yet, huh? I didn't know if you wanted to, like, leave, so I didn't want to block you in. I think they open at 6:30. Yeah, that's what the sign said. All right. I didn't know if he was... I was just sitting in the coffee line waiting, and I'm like, you know, I really don't like State Patrol behind me. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind Marysville cops, but not a big fan of sheriffs or State Patrol. I don't know them well enough. All right. Let's see here. I was sitting at the coffee stand. They open in about 13 minutes. And rather than wait behind a big line, I figured I would just park there and do my video. So he pulls in behind me, unable to get out. And I'm like, knowing that they don't open for 15 minutes, it's like, dude, I don't want to block you in here. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so we're going on an hour right now on this video. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to stop here. And I'm going to get this one uploaded, and then we're going to do part 2. We're going to quickly get through the rest of this, and then we're going to go open up the game. And then I'm going to kind of show you guys the best way that you can get this kind of in play, right? So it's all fun and games on paper and talking about, but you're like, dude, how do I do this? How do I physically do this? And that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to do my best to show you how to run this plan and be efficient with it, okay? Because let's face it, honestly, a lot of what is difficult is just having the space. And that, honestly, is where the challenge comes in with this game entirely. Because, let's face it, let's say right now that you had 20,000 space. You do realize that that would take away all the challenge in the entire game. Like, really think about that. Well, all these people are always like, hey, you know, let's do, hang on just a second. I'll get my normal. Are you still doing sugar-free? Yeah, but it's supposed to be like 5 something. Because she's doing, do you guys usually use the powder, not the sugar, or the syrup, right?
Yeah, the powder is more expensive than the syrup.
Okay, I'm doing syrup now. Yeah.
Are you doing heavy cream or regular?
Regular, I think. Okay, so what's part of the problem here is that people are Missy's thought process just flew away. What the hell was I talking about? I don't know. What the hell? I'm gonna have to rewind the video. All right, I'm gonna get this loaded. We're at an hour. She's making my coffee. I'm gonna get my coffee and I'm gonna start uploading or recording number 2. So be sure to check that out. We're gonna open up the game and we're going to, oh, that's what I was talking about. Space, 20,000 space. So it would take away all the challenge, okay? Now, a lot of people, they say things like that and they're like, you know, it would be so awesome if Global had a search feature, or it would be so awesome if they gave us unlimited space, or blah, blah, blah. But they don't really truly sit back and think, how would that actually change the game? What would that mean for us? Sure, you want the game to be, you don't want the game to be so hard that you're not, enjoying yourself, but you don't want it to be so easy that there's no challenge and no fun in it, right? And finding that balance for a lot of people in any game can be difficult because you don't want to feel defeated all the time, but you don't want to feel like everything's just so easy. You know, I used to play these slot machine games on my phone, and they have these games where, you do your bonus rounds or whatever, and there's some of them that kind of go off a realistic bet, like $3.50 a spin, and then they give you like a normal amount of money. But if you start to play them more and more, you start to notice a lot of them have obscene bets. We're talking like, bet $50,000 a spin. Congratulations, you won $900,000, and you get all these fireworks and everything's going off, and you're like, woohoo! The first couple times you're like, that's awesome. I just won a big win. And then it happens again and again and again. And it's just not fun anymore. It's like, oh boy, it's this big win and it's some obscene amount of money that isn't even realistic to be happy about because it's not fun anymore, right? It became too easy. And you start to lose interest. So then the game decides it's going to suck you dry and it's going to take all your stuff, all your tens of millions that you just won. And now it wants you to spend real money, right? And now it's really become unenjoyable. So you uninstall it and you find a different one. And then the same thing happens and the same thing happens. And that is kind of the process with kind of that, I don't even know how to explain. It's like an intriguing activity that you kind of get sucked into, right? And it's not enjoyable because it's too easy. Now, with this game, part of what people complain about all the time is also what people enjoy. It's super interesting. You would not be happy if you had an unlimited amount of space, would you? Because if that's the case, why don't you just hack the game, right? Why not? Why not just go and hack? You can have all the items in the world. You can do whatever you want then. You don't have to worry about it. And then you sit there. It sounds all great at first. You're like, hell yeah, I don't have to look for storage. I don't have to da-da-da-da-da. But then you sit there after a couple of days and you realize you just lost all the challenge. You know? It doesn't matter if you have an excellent badass city. If you hacked, that doesn't mean anything. Because people don't look at it and go, wow, look at the work that went into that. They look at it and go, okay, so you just hacked everything. So a lot of what makes a city so beautiful is the work that gets put into it, right? It's not just all the buildings and the flashiness. Now, if you're talking just on a designing aspect alone, just like the free-to-play creative mode, that's a whole nother ballpark. But if you're talking like, this is my city and I want to be proud of it kind of thing, there's nothing to be proud of when you hack. You've taken away all the challenge, right? So that's kind of the same thing with buying, with paying your way out of things. If you're somebody here that's buying cash to coin bundles, oh my God, that is the biggest ripoff in the game. I'm serious. Oh my God, that is just unbelievably ridiculous. Don't even get me started on that. Now, what it means, though, is it means that you're not playing correctly. If you're having to spend money like that, you're doing something wrong. The whole reason I made my channel, everything I teach, is to get you guys to... I give you the answers to be successful. I give you all these tips and advice and all this information to be successful without having to hack and without having to spend obscene amounts of money. It's the most efficient way to build an epic project, to design a city, to make coin, okay? Sure, there's 97 million different ways you can do an epic project, but I can promise you that my advice is 100% the most efficient way to do an epic. Maximum pointers, maximum prep, maximum space. Bada boom, you're going to be getting that shit done in the speed of light. Okay? If you can get hotspots, if you're a high level player and you can get them hotspots up to 5 pointers, even better. Right? But my point is, the whole point in this whole thing that I'm talking about here is part of the challenge with making money is managing inventory. And so many people never make that connection. They think that making money is just whatever it is you're producing. They don't think about cost. They don't think about item management. And they don't think about how it is that they're going to lose profits by selling certain items. They're simply, because it's a game, they're looking at it very casually without even thinking, okay, think about if this was real life. Would you really run your shops the way you run them in the game? Would you really produce items that turn a fraction of the profit just because? Would you sell items that you know you're going to have to make later to global just to get a little coin in your pocket now? No. No. That's horrible. So it's not just, oh, I need to make more coin. I need to make. You know, that doesn't do you any good. Okay, you can make all the coin in the world. If you're not managing your items and you're not managing your money and you're spending, it doesn't matter how much coin you make. You're going to be broke all the fucking time. All the time. Okay? I can blow through $1 million if I want by just simply going on global. It's that simple. So I'm going to get this uploaded and then we're going to talk about how to get you guys some damn money. Okay?